Welcome, everyone, to Los Libertinos podcast. I am your host, Carlos Abelar, and this is Chingazos and Fire episode number 26. Our guest today is Carlos Aguilar. He holds a BA from Occidental and a MA in the philosophy of religion and ethics from Talbot School of Theology. He is a hip hop artist known as Bookworm Brown. He's performed all around the world. He has worked in the TV industry for many years, producing. He has also a comedic fatherhood blog called Big Brown Dad, which highlights his life as a dad in the Los Angeles, San Gabriel Valley. And he's also the owner of Mestizo Coffee, a top shelf Mexican flow, which we will get into in our conversation. But first, I'd like to welcome Carlos to the show.
Yes, sir. No, I know that when two people share a name, I guess, and I don't know Spanish, so I'm going to mess this up. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's tocayo, is that right? When someone has the same name as you?
Yeah, it's tocayos. I don't even know what that is, man. The acayo means like a word or like a thing, but tocayo, I don't know what it is, man. So,
but like we have the first name, so I guess that. But I was like interested. What would you call a pair of names that rhyme? They weren't. I don't know if that's a thing yet, but if it's not, we just minted that right today. Cheers to that.
Oh yeah,
Abelar, Carlos Aguilar and Carlos Abelar. What are you drinking, bro?
What's Shiner Box, Shiner, Texas, right here. Little Shiner Box beer, little brew
beer. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's Friday, man. So we're starting early over here. Well, It's like it's noontime for you, but beer time for me already. But hey, so for anybody in my audience, could you please kind of give a background on your story from born and raised? And I mentioned some of the things in the intro, but there's a lot of density to what you've done over the years in many industries. Can you kind of give a background into yourself so we can so my audience kind of knows what's up with you?
Sure. I guess starting with my name might be good because I'm a junior. And so, which means that, there's a Carlos Aguilar Sr. And so sometimes when I think about my story, I think about the fact that I went to the same high school that my mom and dad met at. And then another fact connected to that was that I was twice as old when I became a parent than my mom was when she became a parent for the first time. My mom had me when she was 17. And I had my daughter Maya when I was already 34. And so I think those two notes kind of reflect something interesting. One, I grew up in a Latino neighborhood, in the same neighborhood that my dad went to high school in, which is La Puente, California. And that's in the San Gabriel Valley, which is part of the Los Angeles basin. A lot of times we think of LA, we think of cities as like really drawn out areas where like LA begins here and it ends there or something like that. I never really viewed LA in that way, and I don't think a lot of people do. LA County is like kind of an identity, like the city itself, sure, it's a thing. It's pretty small, but like what it means to be from LA, I think extends into the San Gabriel Valley, the San Fernando Valley, the Inland Empire, even Orange County, like this Southern California identity for Mexican Americans down into even San Diego is a real thing. So I came of age in the 80s and the 90s where it was really violent in these neighborhoods in LA, as all the movies that showcase that era reflect, and wasn't always immune to that, but was fortunate enough to kind of escape some trouble in high school and find my way to college. And I think that was, in a lot of ways, what sent me off onto a different trajectory in life.
Okay, and then after college, what did you get into?
Well, when I was in college, I did a couple of things that were, I encourage high school students who are thinking about going to college, or even college students today to do, which is, practice a few things that you want to maybe pursue once you leave college. Like sometimes this is thought of in terms of internships, and some people have the luxury of affording that kind of experience, where sometimes, at least back then, they were unpaid internships. Now it's illegal, as I understand it, to have unpaid internships. But Another way though was to like leverage the opportunities at the institution you were at. You know what I'm saying? Which was for me, one, I was starting clubs on campus, which was I wanted to start a philosophy club, so I did. I wanted to start a Bible study club, so I did. Uh, and I wanted to write for the college newspaper, so I did. I wanted to travel abroad on the college's dime, so I did. You know what I mean? So it was like, um, for me, it was I was in some ways I'm fortunate enough to pursue opportunities that multiplied the college effect for me. You know what I'm saying? So I was able. Didn't kind of get pushed through college and like, man, that was big. Whoo! Not like I was there to do some shit. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and we're about to do it. And because I took on that attitude, it really broadened my horizons for what I thought was possible for what I could be doing.
And during that time, you were already rapping, like you were doing the rap stuff, or was that after?
Yep. I started rapping when I was in high school. And then another thing that really kind of changed my trajectory late in high school um, is that I had a religious conversion experience when I was like 17 or 18. So I was into hip hop. And then I got invited to a religious crusade. And then I did like, have you ever seen these crusades on TV or whatever? They like do these altar calls, come on down. Do you want to start your life over or get Jesus in your life type thing? Which is what I said, okay, sure, sign me up, whatever. And I got into it, and I got so much into it that although I was rapping beforehand, I started now rapping for God or whatever. So I actually became a gospel rapper. But I didn't grow up in a religious home, so I wasn't like it was within that community. Of course, you have recent converts, and then you have like people who've like grew up in the faith, as it were. And like when those two and like it was interesting, bro, when you like get these two folks together, because you get someone like me who has like a lot of zeal. Like I just gave up a lot of like fun to be part of this religion. And like I see you guys over here who grew up in the religion and you guys aren't taking it serious, bro. Like that's getting me mad right now. You know what I'm saying? I was mad, bro. I was like, what the fuck? Like I thought I joined their gang and everybody's like, not everybody's down. You know what I'm saying? Terrible.
Man, that's funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, man, fair enough. So you and I have been in communications for maybe like a little over a month, and now I'm not sure how we got together. Other than the algorithms and the forces that push them, got us together. And you've been doing some of you do like these Twitter room sessions that I've been finding a lot of value in. It's I've been learning some stuff. I've been learning different perspectives. A lot of the people that come on there are people that from like I guess from where you're like California area, and yeah, man, I've been getting a lot of value in that way. But you were mentioning that you got religious in the past, and in an interview and studying for this interview with you, I heard you mention that you said that any type of social media post is almost like a prayer. Can you kind of elaborate on why that is the case and whether that's good or bad for our society?
Yeah, well, I think the seed of that idea came from a post I saw from a while back from this really thoughtful white dude who's a practicing Christian. I mentioned that because a lot of times we make the mistake of thinking that like people who aren't like us can't provide us like value, which I think is a naive assumption and it's wrong. But anyways, he had a post which was a twist on, I think, an Augustine quote, which was, I think the Augustine quote is, "We have a God-sized hole in our lives that only Jesus can fill," or something like that. And then his post was my friend's post, Andy Crouch. Post was, "We have we have a hole in our lives that only Instagram can fill," which I thought that was funny. But anyways, that got me thinking a little bit. But kind of in this path, which was basically, what is prayer? What is a prayer? But taking an idea, a feeling, and throwing it up into a cosmic audience of one or whatever your version of religion is. You're throwing this thing out to a cosmic audience and hope that it's heard and even more, then you might get some feedback. Um, and I know a lot who, shit. Some of my posts are not much more than that, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's a thought. Who, like, God, are you out there? Do you hear me? And if not you, maybe somebody else will like, laugh, or retweet this. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think there's probably something deeper there to that. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, uh, like really, what is prayer? Start to unpack kind of what that is. You know what I'm saying? And what is community? And then there's like perversions of all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying every instance of social media and every type of post is that, but I think there's some of that's true. You know what I'm saying? What do you think?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's why I wanted to ask that question. When I heard you mention that, um, I thought that, yes, like you could see it well, of course, in the new generations, but you can also see it in just little kids. I have a little 3-year-old daughter, and, my idea was never to really give her the phone and all that. But sometimes, man, it's just hard that you just kind of got to and I could already start seeing like, okay, well, the phone or is going to slowly start becoming part of their identity to the world. So to have this mystic or magical space, you need to have some type of religion to kind of kind of have foundation, and it maybe becomes your social media projection out there, something like that. I don't have but there's something there in that, and I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, I know we're you and I would have never have had this conversation 10, 20 years ago, and it's cool that we were able to do this through technology, but I don't know if it's good or bad yet. That was kind of the question I wanted to ask him. I like to think that it's good because technology mostly is good when used in a sincere way of trying to do good, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, there's some underlying stuff that I guess can be bad. What do you think?
I think, well, that was in my religious phase, which included going on to seminary and getting this master's degree in philosophy of religion. I was really into discernment and prescription. Like, I wasn't as interested in description. I was interested in prescription, which is like, I kind of know what's going on already, guys. Like, I follow the Bible. I know God. I know what kind of man is about. I know what this world is about. I know what Satan's about. So let me get to prescribing the solution. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was these religious folks are really in prescriptive mode. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a solution for you guys, And I think when I was in that mode, I missed a lot of description. Like, I don't know I sometimes think that our worldview should be constrained by the amount of world we've actually viewed. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to have a really humble epistemology, a really low view about what we really know about this world. And as a result, be a lot slower to prescription and allow for more description. So, like, why do I say all that in answer to your question? Because I used to be very into is it right? Is it wrong? What do we do? Who can, get into that mode, and less into shit, what's going on here, bro? Like, what's happening? Like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just trying to there's a lot of interesting things that are happening in social media with technology. There's so much going on that sometimes I feel like to pronounce a thing as good or bad would be premature. Now, I'm a dad, so I got to get to the prescription at some point, you know what I'm saying? Because we haven't allowed our daughter to get a phone yet. She's the only one at her, in her friend group in 7th grade who doesn't have a phone. But she's okay. She's not crying. She's not begging us because we've been raising her, thoughtful all along the way. But she's noting that how about this, bro? At school, at lunchtime, everybody's out with their phones. My daughter doesn't have a phone. All her friends are watching their little Netflix shows or whatever the shit, that their own little world. And my daughter's like, all right, I guess let me just peek over and watch whatever you're watching. They're not talking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like any of that, What are you gonna do, So we're just gonna try to take it slow.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
No, I just have she's about to turn 4 in next month, and I just have a newborn that we just had. But yeah, man, all of that stuff is going to be But you know what? Actually, your daughter, that might be a unique feature, because she's going to stand out because it's going to be easy to when she gets her phone. It's going to be
Yep.
papita, right? Easy. But it's not easy. A lot of the other kids are missing out on these social type of ways of communication that she's actually learning because, So I mean, I'd like to do that. I mean, I like the idea of that of waiting as long as you can to put some of this into her. But I know that the pressures of little huerquillos, is hard, man. Little kids are gonna put pressure on them.
How about this? Not only are they not, when they're together, are they not spending time in the ways that we used to. Um, they only see the top third of each other's faces, bro. Like my daughter doesn't know like what a lot of her classmates look like, even in December. Like she's for real. Like in PE, she knows those guys. I guess she knows people in PE because they can take out their mask off or whatever. I'm pro mask, by the way. So side note, but I understand why they have the kids wear masks. But but still, bro, it doesn't mean that they're not impacted by like not seeing each other's faces. So yeah, man, I'm not happy about any of this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's we can get into that a little bit because I thought it was a unique experience for me at the time. You had a session recently that was about it was like a Thanksgiving, like a pre-Thanksgiving session,
That's
and it
right.
was about like our in-laws not being vaxxed, and then I think I was kind of quiet, and I was like, oh man, I think I'm the only one that's not vaxxed here. And it's kind of funny because everybody put a little bit of their own take and comedy stuff. It was funny, man. I liked it. But can you kind of speak to how there can be two different worlds on this? And even though I wouldn't consider myself someone that is like super knowledgeable, but I don't consider myself a dummy. Um, can have a different view
Mm,
from somebody that you and I, if we didn't talk about that, could hang out, talk about our kids and all that, and not even know that part of ourselves. Can you kind of speak to that, the different worlds that we live in, but
sure.
on this COVID stuff, especially,
No, I think that's a really great hard question. And I was thinking about something like this earlier today, actually, which was, I think it has to be true of me too. It was true of me when I was religious, which is like a lot of religious language. And it's not only religion, it's group think that, but especially Christianity thinks about like the world and they think about like the saints, you know what I'm saying? Like God's chosen, those of us who are saved, those of us who are holy, those of us who are chosen by God, like, and then the world, two different systems at play. Satan's in charge of this one, the government, the media, popular culture, school district, you know, thank God for the military though, or whatever, but like they're just, that's their way of thinking. And I think that kind of thinking allowed me to write off people pretty quickly. Like, oh, of course that's how they think. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna think that way, and so be it. And I think it's easy. It's increasingly easier for us to build our own worlds with our own kind of echo chambers and only hearing the things we want to hear and not entertaining different points of views. And for me, which was crazy, and it's kind of hard, and I still don't know. I still couldn't do a good post mortem on this, but like I was so I decided at 18 to go super religious, which I did all through college. Which I said I went to a regular ass college, a couple of them, and didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't fornicate, as it were, didn't cuss. I was like crazy. I was like a monk, but I was still doing hip hop, so it was like I was a little bit of a weirdo, like cool monk who didn't do anything. Then I went to seminary, which is a double down on the commitment. Like, yo, I'm about to go hard. I'm about to really do this. And then, not long after I graduated from seminary, I basically left this way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure. And after leaving, you know what I'm saying, you get this weird perspective. And I'm not sure what prompted that shift, but they happened. You know what I'm saying? And uh, I don't know that I can say, oh, I can see things from both sides now because I don't know if that's supposed to give me leverage in a conversation. Like, I used to think that way, but now I think this way. I don't know if that's true, but it is true that I used to think that way and now think this way. So it didn't, it just informs coming out of not growing up in a fundamentalist environment, volunteering to be part of a fundamentalist environment, and then leaving a fundamentalist environment, you know what I'm saying, voluntarily to my detriment. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew that it was probably a bad idea to leave this identity that I'd built over 8, 9, 10 of my adult years. Like it's probably not a good idea, but I did it anyway. And it's hard for me to put a finger on like how or why that happened, but it happened, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Please visit our sponsor, buenterprises.com. BU is a company that helps you with relaxation, stretches, and breathing techniques that you can implement in your daily life. You are able to get customized programs depending on your lifestyle. I've been using them for several months now, and I can tell you that I feel a lot better mentally and physically. So please visit buenterprises.com. Use on the promo code at checkout the Chingazos, all caps, CHINGASOS, to receive 20% off. And if you join their program, please email me with some of your results. I want to know how it's going for you so we can communicate a little bit and talk about our results together. So please visit buenterprises.com. Thank you. Are you tying a little bit on whatever side somebody is on? And I'd like to think that even though the narrative is that there is two sides to it, I think there's a bigger middle that can play in both sides, and I'd like to think that I'm in that part. But are you kind of equating that it's like a religion to whether to be like they like pro mask or not mask or pro vaccine? Are you kind of saying it like in that way?
Well, I think it might function in similar ways. I think like when you look at sources of authority, like, okay, who are our sources of authority? And then we've said, okay, in religion, it's the priest or it's the scholar or it's whatever. And then in these political communities or whatever that we find ourselves in, we like not only like which doctors do we trust, which news outlets do we trust, which commentators do we trust? So I think we assign trust to different authorities. And since most of us aren't experts, and this is probably true in religion and true as it relates to some of these science and medical decisions, since most of us don't have myself included, don't have the requisite scientific background, knowledge, and understanding, it's like, who am I going to defer to, right? Like, since I don't really know all that there is to know, I'm going to have to defer to an expert. Which experts am I going to defer to? And I think this happens in religion as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of mystery I don't know the answers to. I'm going to have to defer to an authority. Which authority will I trust? So I think it's probably true in that way. Like, yes, it comes down to who we count on as authoritative.
Who you trust or count on as authority dictates your mindset on a lot of issues on what side you're on.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, it might be tricky because I think that's probably being too charitable. That's kind of suggesting that humans think through issues, come to a conclusion, and then hold that conclusion. I'm pretty sure that's not the way a lot of this is working. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have like, well, for lack of a better term, our impulses, where it's like, man, I don't trust these. Like, I already know off top, I don't trust these. Don't show me no science report. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's probably some emotion that comes first that we then try to justify by finding experts who might confirm some of our instincts. Some of these instincts might be economically motivated. Some of these instincts might be some of our lower self. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's
a hard one. And in that discussion, I kind of said that, like, I'm not anti-vax or anti whatever. I'm just like playing it calmado. And you had mentioned earlier that you had thought that in your religious study that maybe you didn't play calmado since you were trying to like get to figure out the answers that are now and this. And I can see that there's some similarities to that, in that when people are passing away around you, of course that, this is not a class in college, or some debate, in hanging out with some buddies. There people are passing away, so you want answers now. So it's hard, man. It definitely is hard to play it that way. But I thought it was I had not hung out with people, even though it was online, that it was just that I was the only one that was out of the mix, and I thought it was cool, man. I thought it was cool,
Yeah.
So
No, actually, not for nothing, but I can tell you what I did. The first thing I did when the vax got announced, because I was sus too. I was like, yo, that shit came quick. Like, I'm critical. I don't just trust anything, but I'm also like miserable. Like, I don't think we will ever, like, I'm not sure we're gonna ever come to grips with the cost of these last 2 years being lost in the way that they have and shit. Like, it's just miserable. So that said, fuck, I forgot why I mentioned that. But last 2 years are miserable. Oh, the first thing I did was reach out and I interviewed an expert, actually a postdoc at University of Chicago, African American, who's interested in civil rights, medical rights, just interested in the subject, and interviewed him for about an hour and distributed it. Basically, the final question I asked him was like, yo, if your mom called, we talked about it all, and I said, I reduced it down. Your mom calls you today. Do you tell her to take the vaccine? He was like, hell yeah. So anyways, all that to say, like, the most important thing is I think most of us value is be thoughtful in whatever it is you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't do it just to just to follow along. Just be as thoughtful as you can.
Yeah, fair enough. To change up the conversation a little bit. So I don't know a lot of the details of your like music and TV career. Could you kind of give a more of a detailed background of some of the work that you've done, and then also how maybe being a Latino, you might have strategically had to play the game differently to advance in the industry?
No, I think got a master's degree, graduated. Then I had a faculty internship. I got into a program that was going to transition me into a faculty philosophy teaching job at a junior college. But one semester into that program, I saw a job notice for a writing position at a cable network. And actually, what happened 3 weeks before that, after was that I had gone to New York to participate in a rap battle. So while I was in seminary, I was a gospel rapper. I decided I was going to put that part of my life to bed, but I continued to rap. I traveled through Mexico for 6 months backpacking and recording an album. And when I came back, I had that faculty internship. At that same time, there was a rap battle in New York that MTV was putting on. And I was like, oh man, I want to go participate in that. But since I had just come back from Mexico, I didn't really have the funds. And because I had an internship, I didn't really have income like that. So I was like, damn, I can't go battle. MTV was going to give away $25,000 and you're going to get signed to Rockefeller. And I was like, oh man, I definitely want to go. So I put a post in a Craigslist, not a Craigslist, it was Latino LA. It was a classified ad that said Mexican American rapper seeking sponsorship for rap battle to New York City. And I put it up. And of course, nobody sent me any money, but I did have a family member who hooked me up with a ticket, and a TV producer saw the notice, reached out to me and said, hey, you're going to New York. This is cool. I'm a producer at this TV network and we want to do a story on you. So come, when can we do the story? So I said, okay, we did a story in LA in the studio. He interviewed me. Cool. Nice to meet you. And he's like, yo, when you go to New York, call this guy. He's going to pick up the story when you get to New York. I go to New York. We get to the battle in New York. There's a riot. The battle's canceled, but I still do my TV interview while I'm out there and I meet some cool people. When I get back, I see this job posting for a TV writing job on that same website. and I apply, and who's doing the hiring but the producer who had interviewed me only a couple weeks earlier. And so I end up getting my first job in television, writing for Telemundo's English language network called Mundos, which was around for probably 7 or 8 years, but I worked there for 2 years, writing and producing like a news magazine show, you know what I'm saying, where we interviewed a bunch of talent and personalities and artists and did a lot of cool shit, lived it up. It was fun. Job, nothing lasts forever. TV show gets canceled. And was lucky to get into TV. Didn't know if I was going to be able to get lucky enough to stay in TV. And for about a year, I wasn't. I didn't have any TV work until I did get hired to write a Bible documentary at a company that I stayed with for about 10 years and went on to write and produce several other documentaries, award shows, reality shows, syndicated shows, travel shows. Basically spent 10 years traveling the country, just producing a lot of cool stories, meeting a lot of cool people, working with celebrities, just magic shows, just a bunch of weird, funny shit that you can all see, on the IMDb. When you work in television, you can go to IDMB and list your credits, and that's a lot of my credits are listed there. So I just went ham for like 10 years and had a blast. I was at a white-owned company, you know what I'm saying? So I was like the only Latino who was a writer and producer at the company. When I'd show up, like in the South, for example, and I go into a gas station in Atlanta, and I'm taller than any Mexican they've ever seen, and I'm speaking like better English than them, and you know what I'm saying? And or even funnier, like when I show up in where was it, Kentucky, and I'm hiring 2 white boys from West Virginia. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying them, like, that's not me, my company, but I'm the boss there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm coming with a big budget. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying these fools. These fools got to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? And they're looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, where'd you come from, bro? Like, they ain't never seen likes of you around here. So a lot of fun shit like that, bro. Like showing up to upstate New York with an Episcopal priest, telling, these guys, when, it depends on who it is, but when you're producing or directing and you have the power, bro, it's funny, bro. It's like, okay, you move here, the priest. Yes. Okay. Where do I go? Like, sit down, priest. You know what I'm saying? Stand up, priest. Eat the bread, priest. Like I tell the priest what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's really in charge?
That's funny, man. You were getting them back from because they weren't serious, because when they weren't serious about the religious thing, man. A recently, I don't know if it was recent, but I didn't check the date on it, but I think it must be in the last couple of years. There was a Pew Research report that showed that 76% of Hispanics have never heard of the term Latinx, and that only 3% use the term. I think the other percentages were like at the carne asada, or they don't speak English or something. They didn't say anything. But what is your whole take on I mean, not really a take, or what is the narrative or story that to be this whole Latinx? I didn't even know, I had never heard of it, but in the circles that I run, right, the libertarian circles, it automatically goes to, it's like the LGBTQ agenda trying to be shoved down, Latinos that are mostly religious, or things like that. And I heard that, but okay, I mean nobody's making me say it, but I would just, it was something that was in the last 3 or 4 or 5, 4 or 5 years, it kind of felt like it was starting to show up on TV, but nobody that I fuck with normally, even, it was just something that was part of this TV political kind of circles that I ran with. I don't know, what is your whole take on the Latinx, the usage of it, or whatever?
I can tell you that when I first heard it, I was interested in it. I was like, yeah, because as a 3rd-generation Mexican American who doesn't speak Spanish, but who grew up in the hood, who, like all Latinos, who operated as the only Latino in an all-white context, in most of my life, like I felt racialized. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't an immigrant. I wasn't an American. I felt racialized. And Hispanic, I didn't mess with. Latino, I didn't love. Chicano at that time for me, because even as I was getting like a political identity was like I was getting my own personal identity, which was more grounded in a religious system. I rejected a political identity like Chicano. So I was like, yeah, so I had a history of like feeling like the existing categories were inadequate, right? So when I first saw Latinx, I first thought, oh, it's on some Malcolm X shit, like, oh, we about to pop off, like, yeah, you're right. Fuck all this other shit. X out all the other shit. We're on some new shit. And I was hyped off it for like 3 days or whatever. Then I saw how people were using it, and then I tried it, and then it was like, I get the idea. For me, I understand the need for some people to have an identity that a lot of people can gather around to achieve political ends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those types of like a Chicano is a political identity. I even think Black is a political identity. I think it's inescapably a political identity. And so, as is like being brown is an inescapable political identity. So I thought that, hey, yes, maybe we need new language to account. I do need new language to account for my experience. I've actually opted for brown, which is why my blog is Big Brown Dad. And when I rapped, I was Bookworm Brown. But so when this new term came, I was like, hey, and then I didn't like the way it sounded, but I didn't begrudge anybody who decided to use it themselves. And then because I work in advertising now and marketing, and just as a writer and producer and creator, you always, it depends on who you're talking. Your audience is going to determine what you say and how you say it, or at least it ought factor into what you say and how you say it. And so me, when I feel like I can use Latinx, I will. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. I'll use it ironically. I'll clown it. I'll defend it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the objections that I hear against it are incoherent. You know what I'm saying? And they don't make sense. So I feel like I have to defend it against incoherent criticism. But I don't use it. The reason I don't use it is an aesthetic reason. It's a style reason. I have other words I'd rather use.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. I hear you. And then like, so you being like, so, I speak Spanish, but I don't speak it very great. My parents are from Mexico. So then, so I knew Spanish, but like, I didn't really, I don't speak it as good as like as my sister does or something like that. But yeah, so to me, the Latinx thing comes that to me, that there's a certain there's some people that don't like that that Spanish just has it's like a feminine and a male, like the words in there like Latino, Latina, but to describe both you would say Latinos. So it's like has like a male over the
Mm-hmm.
and but that's just the language. I mean you're not going to be able to change the language, but I have never heard the take that there's people that don't speak the Spanish like you said, and you were trying to find something different that spoke a little bit more to you. And yeah, I mean, I had not heard that point of view, and yeah, I can understand that completely. That someone that is Latino or not, like, or someone that has parents or like yourself, like third or even fourth generation or more, hey, they're just saying, hey, we're just Latinx because we don't even speak Spanish or even know different things like that. So
right, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the other part of it too. I think, which is important to note, is that because it's language, it's complicated because there are so many users of the language and people use the language differently. So like, I think, which is why a lot of criticisms fail to be explicit in their criticism. They're attacking it broadly, but aren't really giving me particular explicit details. So like, you will have transgendered folks who will argue that Latinx is the term they use for the reasons that they're transgendered and the language doesn't capture their experience. I just told you a reason why I thought it was interesting to use early on. And there are Spanish speakers who are Guatemalan, or I don't know if you're familiar with like the what happened at USC, but like the Chicano Studies House or whatever it was named, got the students now, 20 years later, or after the house was opened, wanted to rename it the Latinx Student Union. And so this generation of young people are looking for solidarity across lines, you know what I'm saying? So for them, that term made sense. Now, someone else is using a brand might use Latinx because they think they better use it or else they're not cool. And that's another case. You know what I'm saying? We need to evaluate each of these cases in their own merits. You know what I'm saying? Now, and I don't think the criticism that there's an agenda to deneuter our kids by deneutering the language makes any sense, and is like it's just sad to
Yeah, just like a right wing propaganda kind of stuff
yeah,
that
it's
just
like
gotta.
it's
Yeah,
not that
I hear you, man.
serious.
Those are the circles that I run in, and I mean, I take what I want and what I think, but yeah, I mean, it's still up to. I mean, ultimately, for most things, whatever propaganda, left or right, it's still the responsibility of the parents to, or they're the ultimately responsible
Yeah.
for however their kids grow up. What's up, everyone? Please visit palomaverdecbd.com for all of your CBD needs. Paloma Verde is a family-run business that my wife and I own. We have had it for over 2 years now. We are blessed to have that as our side company that we run together. But we need your help and your support to keep it going. So if you are already buying CBD products, but you'd want to buy them from a small business that shares your values, and if you want to support the show, buy visit palomaverdecbd.com and purchase some CBD from us, and we would appreciate it. So please, at checkout, use the promo code Chingasos and receive 25% off anything in the store. And once again, palomaverdecbd.com for all of your CBD needs. Thank you. Yeah, man. So in kind of getting close to respecting the time that we agreed to, I kind of want to touch a little bit on your blog, the Big Brown Dad blog that you got. Can you kind of speak a little bit to the genesis of how that started and what it is now, and what you got going on that front?
Sure. I've been keeping it for probably 6 or 7 years. And it started because part of what I was just saying now is like, I think when people think of Latinos or Mexican or Mexican Americans, even, they think of, you think of a range of experiences, but they often don't think of English only, fully engaged, culture maker, like fully, productive citizen, like all of PTA, philanthropy. Like we're living our lives as like robust participants in our community, not on some like hide when the cops drive by type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, my daughter has the key to the city of Paris, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you right now, but like, so like this, so I thought it was important for me to write about my experience with a little bit of humor, and then to share some of the projects that we do as a family to get people kind of maybe interested in doing something of their own. In particular, we started the Cozy Collection. My daughter, when she was 6, she's 12 now. When she saw a homeless guy on the side of the road, she had some money for my birthday gift, but she asked my wife if she could give it to maybe to the homeless person. And my wife said maybe we could do something a little more, it might have greater impact. So they thought about it and decided that my daughter would start collecting socks and blankets for the homeless, which she did that first year. And then 6 years later, bros, I don't know, like 80,000 pairs of socks and like 2,000 blankets. The Disney
Oh,
Channel came out and did a story on her, like the news, the
oh man, that's
newspapers.
awesome.
Her schools got involved, her soccer team, the region, like it went, bro. So, and so I document some of that on the blog. And you really, probably one thing I think was a good example or a good case for what prompted me to keep this going, even was when I was watching Narcos, and Pablo Escobar was like having a sentimental moment with his kids before like they're gonna come and raid him or something like that. And I remember feeling like real empathy for the guy. You know what I'm saying? After I saw him blow up like and kill thousands of people and shit, you know what I'm saying? I was having empathy for this murder because I'd never seen someone who kind of looked like me hugging up with their kid, like a dad, Mexican looking dad, having a tender moment with their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd never really seen that on TV. And I was like, fuck that. Like, we don't need Pablo Escobar to be the guy who gives it to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just need more dads sharing themselves being dads. You know what I'm saying? And that's good. More brown dads doing dad shit. You know what I'm saying? So That's part of the reason I do that.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Yeah, on the fronts too that I have on the with my wife on the CBD stuff that we do, the Paloma Verde. When we send out our packages, we send thank you cards, and on our thank you cards, it has our family picture. You know, that just trying to show that there's also Latino people that are on the front foot trying to create and be entrepreneurs, and it doesn't always have to, like you said, be the this different mindset of what people think of when they think of like Latino families or whatever, you know. So yeah,
Exactly.
man, that's awesome, man. I think that's a beautiful thing, and yeah, I definitely would consider myself a big brown dad if that's okay with you, man.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, man. And getting into being on the front foot, you have had a coffee company here for about a year now. It is called Mestizo Coffee. I ordered some last week to support your efforts. I got the 66 and the tonic.
Hey,
I haven't opened them yet because it turns out that they're whole beans. And I was telling you that I'm not a coffee guy. I'm like a weekend coffee guy with my wife, but but they smell great. And can you kind of talk about how that all started and how you got on the front foot on that? What have you learned in the past year of being an entrepreneur, and where do you see Mestizo Coffee going in the future?
so for the last 6 years, I've been at an advertising agency working with brands like AT&T, California State Lottery, Honda, Wells Fargo, City National Bank, creating content, writing and producing videos, commercials, campaigns. And that's, this is during the era of digital brand building, digital business building. Magic Johnson, who's like the guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, so operating in this world of people who are people of color. Steve Harvey was worked on Steve Harvey's account for a really long time, creating content with him and around him. All supercharged messages like, bro, like you can do it. You got the talent. Like, Steve Harvey, that's his vibe. You know what I'm saying? I spent a year and plus making content with Steve Harvey, all in that energy, bro. You know what I'm saying? I work with Kevin Hart and his network. Beyond being funny, he's productive, dynamic, go getter. You got it. You should do it. You know what I'm saying? I work with TD Jakes, bro. I don't know if you know TD Jakes is like America's most popular preacher. If you ever heard him, bro, he's in Dallas. You can do it. Have faith, have trust, go. And it's like, what kind of piece of shit would I be if I hear all this and this is my work? And God has given me the opportunity to be in this space and not to put my shit out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so all that to say, like, I was like, okay, so there's that energy already brewing, if you will. And then coffee itself is interesting because if I had a religious conversion experience in my youth, I had a coffee conversion experience 3 years ago or so. When my homeboy, I saw him competing in coffee making, not latte art, but like the taste of my cup versus the taste of your cup. And I was like, yo, what the hell is that, bro? Because I've been drinking coffee, 7-Eleven, McDonald's, whatever, wherever they got it, put sugar, put cream. My boy came through the office and he brought his own gear, his own water, a scale, a kettle, paper filters. I was like, what? What? And then he did the whole thing. I tasted it. Tasted like blueberry, bro. I was like, what? It was an Ethiopian thing. He was like, yeah, bro, this is coffee. What, like, and I was like, yeah, you're right. This is coffee, bro. Not all this other shit I've been drinking. This is coffee. Turns out there's a whole movement called third wave coffee. So there's our specialty coffee, first wave coffee. They talk about like in the US is when Americans had coffee at home. Second wave of coffee in the US, Starbucks, Pete's, Coffee Bean, and Tea Leaf. Americans are starting to go out and try just coffee drinks, you know what I'm saying? And then the third wave is now specialty coffee, where now consumers are interested in the quality of the bean. Not because just like any product, commodity, it can be grown for scale, for profit, not for quality, but for economic profit, you know what I'm saying? So same way craft beer is a thing, craft coffee is a thing. So smaller lots, higher prices type thing. So that's a whole wave. My bet on the whole front foot tip was that there are, how about this, bro? Who does most of the work with coffee picking? People of color. Black and Latino across the world, Asian too, in Vietnam and India and everywhere, bro. But who does most of the profit taking? The big white owned transnational companies. Okay, in the specialty space, it's mostly white, and I wanted to change that. But could I change it by coming in? There's a couple ways I could have changed it. Come in and say, look around, because who's all the people who are paying more for coffee? White people mostly. Latinos drink more coffee than their white counterparts in the US, okay? But in the specialty coffee space, it's white coffee drinkers for the most part. Latinos are going to Starbucks like crazy, but this is a step up from Starbucks, you know what I'm saying? Even though if the prices are comparable, because Starbucks is gassing up the prices on their single order drinks, this is a different quality. So I could have went into the space and been like, hey, I'm the Mexican guy here, white people. Here's Frida Rivera and Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. And here's some skeletons. And here's an Aztec fucking headdress. And did that kind of thing, which was not what I want to do at all in life. Or I took a gamble of sorts, which is to say, you know what? The Mexican Americans that I know, they like top shelf mezcal. They pay for it. They'll pay for top shelf weed. They don't want to smoke that bunk shit. And they'll pay for top shelf coffee if they knew it was a thing. You know what I'm saying? But most people, Mexican Americans, don't know that's a thing. All they know is dirt weed. All they know is the dirt weed version of coffee. You know what I'm saying? So I say, okay, now it's hard though, right? Because now I'm coming in and saying two things that nobody wants to hear. The stuff that you like is shit. I'm like, oh man, fuck you. Like, no one want to hear that. No, seriously, guys, like this is the low end grade booty baba shit. But the reason you don't know that is because you put milk and sugar and you mask it, like you would with sugar. Sugar masks anything, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying two things that nobody wants to hear. What you like is boo-boo. And the better stuff costs more. You know what I'm saying? So don't try this at home, kid. Don't try this at home, kids. You could probably better off selling real estate, but it's been dope. I've had tremendous support in a year. I've shipped to probably 30, 35 states, over 400 customers, people I've never met, come across, no connection with, are hearing about the brand and buying it. So I'm getting a lot of positive signals. Not as positive as the $500,000 fake report that I put up on social media.
I fell for that.
But I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on to the show. Could you please plug in where people can find all of your content and they can reach you for your coffee? And if anybody's needing some content, where they can reach you at basically, and they can find some of your stuff.
Sure. I mean, the best way to reach the coffee is mestizo.coffee. And that's the same on Instagram, mestizo.coffee. Sorry, on Instagram and Mestizo Coffee. And then Big Brown Dad is the site. And on Twitter, I'm Mr. Big Brown Dad. So those are all good ways to connect.
Perfect. And final question for the New Year's coming up. Can you give a positive message to anybody that's listening to the show?
I can almost say with certainty. Oh, this is dangerous. I'm not a prognosticator, but I can almost say with certainty, 2022 is going to be better than the bullshit of 2021 and the bullshit of 2020.
Fair enough. I'll take that to the bank and going to enjoy some coffee tomorrow morning, man, for sure.
Please do.
Thank you. And thank you for coming on, man.
Shit.
Peace.
For sure. Peace.